Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today we're going to be looking at the latest incarnation of the 6970 from Powercolor, and it's their top of the range kind of flagship 6970. It's the PCS Plus. And you can see it here, or rather I can see it here because you're miles away. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut straight in and have a good up close look at the card. Right then guys, a good look around the card. As you can see, you've got the two large fans on the top. But one of the things that I quite like are these mesh sections. There we go, when the camera focuses. Scattered around the card. Now obviously, because of the way the fans are orientated, it is going to blow the heat back out into the case, which is why the card has no real kind of way of it going out the back. You have got that small panel section, but I mean, we all know it's just going to get exhausted through the gaps. Something I did want to show you, because I quite like this. This kind of looks like the front of a Le Mans racer or something, like one of the Audis, with the slots up on the wheel arch. So if you imagine there being a wheel here, I think that this looks quite a lot like the front of a car. You've even got these kind of like spoiler bits that then go down the side. I really do think if there was a wheel here, it'd just be like a model car. It's even got a kind of like bonnet-esque part there. So, an eye candy cooler for some. Also kind of leans towards maybe a more extreme version of the old Batman style 5870 heatsink. But anyway, yeah, two large fans. Then you've got the four massive heat pipes spreading out. We've got an 8-pin and a 6-pin. But there's the 4 screws. It's time to get her undressed. Nudie time! I've literally just pulled the cooler off. I've not cleaned the paste or anything. This is literally just raw, just quickly, just to show you. Before anyone says, yes, I'm going to clean it and paste it beforehand, I just can't be bothered to do it now. There you see a nice copper MOSFET heatsink there. Go over to the RAM. Now, this top set of RAM has got this heat pad on it, so it's actually touching the heatsink. But this side RAM, where it's uncovered, I'm assuming because of the fan, it's kept cool enough, and where that's kind of shielded, they need that to touch the heatsink. But yeah, the two lots of RAM are cooled in two different ways. Strange, but just something I noticed. There's the base of the heatsink anyway. So yeah, you can just see the underside. And then we'll do a slow run up the main part of the card. I will not be held responsible for any sticky non-working keys at the end of this segment of the video. You watch this at your own risk. But there we go. Right then, so you've had a good look around the card. I really like the heatsink on this. It's got quite an industrial feel to it. I like the kind of like meshy cutouts and stuff. I suppose the drawback would be that it's not really going to exhaust any of that heat outside of the case. Most of it's going to get dumped inside the case. But as long as you're not running some old kind of, very basic case, you should be fine. As long as you've got a case with decent airflow in the front and out the back and out the top, you'll be perfectly fine. You won't really notice any differences whatsoever. Well, you will notice differences, but nothing that you should really be like going to bed sweating about and losing sleep over. Now, the card comes out the box with a 940 megahertz clock, which is a fair way over what the reference cards come at. And it's quite an impressive clock as well, because originally the overclock limit on the reference cards was tied in or stopped at 950. So to already have a card that's kind of almost at that max, completely stable, do you know what I mean, out the box, so you're not going to have to worry about it, it's very, very impressive. But one of the things is, with this having such a high clock, although the overclock limits have been stretched right out to like 1200 megahertz or something stupid it is now in Catalyst Control Center, we've got no voltage tweaking options. So the most I've been able to get out of this card was 965 megahertz. I had to knock it back down to about 960 for it to be able to continuously roll through Unigine. But for games and stuff like that, could easily run it at 965. So there's not a massive amount of overclock in there, but that's because the base clock that it comes out of the box with is so high already. And it's really the overclocking that made me kind of go away from, because I wanted to give this a gold award, I really did, because it is probably the best 6970 I've had. All the other ones that we've seen and sort of like played with have had the reference cooler, and it's a bit of a falling point for me, because where I go from ATI to Nvidia quite a lot, to be able to go from something that's quiet and then you get like a 6970, which is quick, but then that cooler was always letting it down, because obviously where I'm sat next to them, I can hear the differences quite easily. And yeah, that was one of the big falling points really with the 6970. It was one of my biggest disappointments. So for now, the aftermarket and all the vendors, or whatever you want to call them, are now starting to bring all these their own versions of the coolers out. It's brilliant. I really like the kind of industrial heat pipe look. So yeah, but that really, the overclocking is my only kind of little gripe, because I do feel that the card's got more to offer. Or maybe it's just the fact that Powercolor have done all the work for us already, and they do just want us to buy it, fit it, and forget it. And to be perfectly frank, when it's chucking out 23,000 3D Mark P scores at us out the box, it comes to the point where you think, is there really any point in going for just a few megahertz overclock when you might as well leave it and it's cool, calm, and collected? But it's definitely worth a solid silver. And I do mean a solid silver as well, because it is a very, very good card. And the frames per second on when you go into games and stuff like that, with Crysis maxed out, we were getting, with Enthusiast, 8 times AA, which is the most that the card supports. We were getting high 30s, knocking on the door of the 40s as well. Metro again was high 30s. It's definitely a gamer's card. To the point where, stop moving that chair. I really, really like it, and I'll say it again, it is probably, if not the best 6970 I've had to date, because you can just take it out, use it, you've not got to worry about anything. It's amazing. It's the type of card, whereas a lot of the other teams' cards, to get the best from them, you really do have to overclock them. This is kind of, I think it's probably about as good as the 6970s are going to get without some proper good cooling or some massive voltage tweak options. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be quiet quickly, because I'll go round and round in circles, and this is about my 17th millionth time for recording this. I've got Mr. S here with me. I'm going to show you the 3D Mark Vantage and 3D Mark 11 scores, which I've got on the screen behind me. Then we'll do our usual gameplay batch and benchmark batch that we always do, and then I'll also show you the temperatures, so you can kind of get everything to, you can see everything you want to see. I need another cup of tea today. But anyway, this is the last you're going to see of my pretty awful face, and yeah, silver award for the Powercolor 6970 PCS Plus. But it was so close on getting the gold really. If they'd allowed us, a little bit more to play with or something like that, we probably would have given it that little bit extra But it's if I'd just been looking at ATI cards, blatantly it would have got a gold. But when you look at the bigger picture and look at everything else that's available and the prices and all that kind of stuff, then that's where it just slipped into the silver, but a very high silver. Probably, do you know what I mean, a good 8 out of 10 as an overall package. It's a very, very good card. If you're an ATI fan and you really want a big kahunas card, this is probably going to be top of my list if you're not that fussed about the red PCB that's on it. But anyway, I'm going to be quiet and we'll get on with the gameplay and benchmarks. Right then guys, this is the 3D Mark Vantage score at stock with a 4 GHz 950, 23,016, that's with a 22,452 GPU score. If we go down, you can see we got 5,603 on 3D Mark 11 for a P score. And then if we go over to the temperatures, it's idle at the moment, but you can see the minimum there is 32 and the maximum for the benchmarks was 63. And it won't really go much above 63 unless we're playing it for ages, and obviously the room will warm up a bit, but you really do have to play the card in games for an awful long time to be able to get that over 70 degrees, or just obviously stick Thermark on or something like that. But it does stay very cool. It's a very good cooler. And quickly, while I've got you in my hand, put you near the cooler so you can actually hear it running. It's very, very quiet. I'm going to shush now and give you a couple of seconds of it with you just sat there. But once you've got that in your case, you're not going to hear that graphics card at all. It is very, very quiet. It's only where I've got it out in the open I can actually hear it at all, and I'm really having to put the camera really down close, and you probably still won't hear it on the video. Right, let's get on with the gaming. Where is Mr. Strawberry? Right then guys, Alien vs Predator first. And my lovely phone. Why does it do that every time I make a video? 66 frames a second up there at the moment. Excuse me, make sure you all say bless you in the comments. $67, $68 at the moment. Now it's in a crash. Right, yeah, down to 45. Same old every time. All 37 there. What you need to be keeping your ear opens for is the fan on the graphics card. If I pan over quickly, Mr. Strawberry's just over there. Picking his ear, his nose. Anyway, right, graphics card, that's what we're meant to be watching. Oh, just hit 78, 79 frames a second there at the end, so quite a range. Right, now we're going to go straight on with Resident Evil. We'll do DX9. We'll do this all with you running so you can see us just going through and starting it and not changing anything. Mr. Strawberry really hasn't learned that you can button bash this yet.
Right.
God bloody trainees. Right. Master at work. Move the T-boy out of the way. Right, with Resident Evil you can see that you've got the larger frames per second meter there, but we've also got it running up with fraps in the top left hand corner as well. What we'll do from this is we'll go straight into, well, we'll do some Metro, and then we'll do some Crysis, and we'll do Crysis with no AA and gamer settings, and we'll also do it with 8x AA and enthusiast settings. We'll let this run right to the very end, and then I will... Right, it's doing it now. So what we'll do is we'll get everything ready for Metro. Right then guys, on to Metro. So far I've not seen it go below 35. Highest I've seen is 41. At the moment it's flicking between 30, kind of 7 and 39 really. It's the first time it's just dipped into the 20s with the monster or whatever you want to call it right up close. 49 briefly then. What I'll do is zoom you in so that you can actually see the frames per second. Just say that for a couple of seconds so you can see it is. I wonder if they're mutant kangaroos. They do like hopping about. Right, got to the same point as we do every time, and Mr. Strawberry always presses escape, but I'm hoping he'll remember not to this time. And we'll move on to Crysis. Right then guys, just a quick splurge on Crysis in gaming with 0 AA. It will focus. I hope. There we go, over 100 frames a second there, down to about 75. Really not having much luck with the camera focusing. I think it's the lights. There we go. Going into a filmy part now, but you could see there with the gaming before. But what we'll do is I'll cut you off quickly and we'll stick it in enthusiast with 8x AA. Right then, we've done everything we can from within the game. It's now on 8x AA and pretty much everything on enthusiast. This is quite an action-packed part of the game with all the trees and everything like that. So there's loads and loads going on, but it's very, very playable. Stays over 30 most of the time. Straubs ain't bad at steering that truck either. That pause then was just a game save. Mr. Red Drum. Missed another one. Boom, Shankar! Just go for the red drums. Boom! This is better than watching an Arnold Schwarzenegger film. The whole point of us showing this part of it is, yeah, alright, it is floating around the 30 frames a second, but if this was a quiet part of Crysis, it'd be well in the 40s. Straub's going to need a new car soon.
It'll be fine.
Shoot the tanker behind you. Boom. Now another reason for playing this kind of quite intensive part of the game is to show that the fan doesn't really spin up at all. See it go up into the 40 frames a second mark when it was quiet then. All in all, you can see it is a very, very playable, easily. Yeah, it's an awesome card. Like I said, it's probably my favourite. Well, no, actually, it is my favourite 6970 to date. Yeah, okay, the overclocking isn't. There's not much for you to play with, but the way you need to think about it is that Powercolor have just done it all for you. You can just chuck it in and job done. Oh, I was hoping he was going to get squashed by the tree then. Go on and get up. That's it. Bye bye. Against the rock. Bang your head. Right, that's enough of me shouting stupidities. This is enough for the 6970 for today. Keep your eyeballs open because I've got plenty to come for you next week. or this week whenever I upload the video. But for now, at least, it's Tiny Tom Logan, guest starring Mr. Strawberry. Out.